Let's go across to the other big story today. PT Usha, she was the poster child of the Indian track and field sphere. The queen of Indian track and field is a woman of many firsts. And now the legendary PT Usha has been elected as the first woman president of the Indian Olympic Association of the IOA. The 58-year-old, a multiple Asian Games gold medalist and fourth place finisher in those infamous 1984 Los Angeles Olympics 400 meters hurdles final, was declared elected unopposed for the top post in the polls. These elections were of course held under the supervision of the Supreme Court appointed retired Supreme Court Judge L. Nageshwara Rao.
PT Usha, Indian track and field legend, unanimously elected president of the Indian Olympic Association. For the first time in 95 years of IOA's history, the boss will be a woman. Also on the panel with her are London Olympics bronze medal winner Gagan Narang and former Indian footballer Kalyan Chaubey.
Me and my team, with collective effort, we will do our best to the betterment of sports, and we all will work together to bring more medals for our country.
The other sportspersons who will run IOA are former Olympic medalist and wrestler Yogeshwar Dutt, boxer MC Marikom, paddler Sharat Kamal, former archer Dola Banerjee and former tennis player Rohit Rajpal. Elections on Saturday were held for 5 posts, others elected unanimously. The process had begun earlier when 8 sportspersons of outstanding merit were selected on 19th of November. Their names as IOA members had to be ratified in the General Assembly today.
प्रधानमंत्री जैसा कहते हैं कि हमेशा ट्रांसपेरेंट रहना चाहिए, हमेशा ये करप्शन को कभी ये नहीं देना चाहिए। एक स्पोर्ट्स बॉडी होने के नाते हमारा भी ये पहला प्राथमिकता रहेगी कि आईओए में कोई भी फाइनेंशियल करप्शन ना हो।
So we as sports persons are our own administrators, and getting into administration is a whole new ball game, and hope to do justice to the seat that we are sitting in.
From Mirabai Chanu to PV Sindhu, many at the peak of their sporting career have also thrown their hat in the IOA ring and are a part of the Athletes Commission. More women have voted in these elections than men.
I think it's really good that sports persons, being top there and they know what the problems are or what needs to be done for the sport. I think it's really good that sports persons are being elected and taking sport to another level.
In New Delhi, Rika Roy for NDTV.
Woman IOA chief. Is this a new era in sports administration? Joining us on left, right and centre, Shiva Keshavan, 6-time Olympian, the first Indian representative to compete at luge in the Winter Olympic Games. He is also a member of the IOA Athletes Commission. We have Ashwini Nachappa, former Indian athlete, needs no introduction. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Nachappa. And Norris Pritam, senior sports journalist. Ashwini Nachappa, to you first. First woman president, first former international athlete. But on a personal note, Ashwini Nachappa, you've known PT Usha, you've competed against her. So first, on a personal note, I'm sure this is a happy day. Your thoughts right now?
I'm extremely proud of her. She's been one of our finest athletes Asia could ever, produce. Even till today, I think she's one of the finest athletes that's come across in Asia. I've always looked up to her as an inspiration, though we were fierce on the field. The moment I got to know she was filing her nomination, I did congratulate her. And today too, I've congratulated her, and of course she has responded. I can only say that it is a historic moment. It's very, very special because being the first woman, I am sure there's going to be some changes that we will see immediately because she's gone through the grind, having been on the field for many decades, right from a very, very small age that she has gone through running bare feet to where she is right now. So every small step that she has taken, she has worked very hard for. So I can only wish her well and hope to see Indian sport, especially the Olympic movement, grow in leaps and bounds.
Listen, Nachappa, you know, as a Malayali myself and as a non-professional athlete, I'm a fangirl of PT Usha. But I want to ask you, apart from all of that, if you step back, if you look at the big picture, because there was a huge problem at hand. This is an association that has many negative associations in the past. Much was needed to be done to clean it up. How much can she actually change? You're known as someone who's very candid, who speaks very candidly, and so I ask you this.
I think unless you give a change and you give an opportunity for somebody to try it out, you can really not make any assumptions and say, no, this would be a failure or this would be a success. I think giving a chance and giving that opportunity is important, whoever it may be. Now, if you look at the Olympic movement in India, frankly speaking, you've been there on the field for quite some time and you know what is happening. I, as a president of Clean Sports India, have been fighting this cause right, since I've retired, because I've seen what happened on the field, and I'm happy that at least sports persons are given that kind of opportunity now to come into the forefront of administration of sport, which has never happened. So in that aspect, it's good. It's a good start. It's sad that the court had to intervene and we are in this situation today. Yes. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the culture that has come about in the last few decades, which has trickled down right till the district level in every part of the country. Mm-hmm. It's sad, but that's the reality. As we speak, I am fighting a court case right now because I'm the president of the Bangalore District Athletic Association, and the Athletic Federation doesn't even want to recognize it is the only district with 3 Arjuna awardees. Registered body, recognized by the government, recognized by the registration of societies, but they don't want to because they don't want certain people not to be seen in the forefront. So I'm saying, so this is a good change. I mean, I would expect a lot to happen, especially from grassroots right to top. It'll take a while because to change that kind of system, which has really, deep-rooted, as I said, right till the district level, you see this happening. It's going to be a challenge, but I would support anything and anyone that promotes, in the true spirit of sportsmanship, the Olympic movement right from the base up.
All right, Ashwini Nachappa, thanks for joining us. Let's get in Norris Pritam, who's covered sports and the Indian sports story for decades now. So, Norris, let me ask you the same question. What really is this the change that the system needs? Can the system be cleaned up with this? And I ask this because, PT Usha's anointment, really, I use that word, to the top post was a foregone conclusion for over a month now after she emerged as the lone candidate for the top post. What is one supposed to read into that there was nobody who could be found to stand against her? She stood unopposed?
Sir, I think it's too early to say. I mean, today she has been elected and we can't say that. We can't expect a change so soon. And I would further add that in sports politics, whether it is in India or abroad at IOC or whatever, it's much else beyond sport. I mean, there's no guarantee that the world champion or even PT Usha, who's been such a celebrated athlete, will make a change overnight. No, it's impossible because we have to do so many things which only the hardened officials could do. I mean, I was one of the most very critic of all these officials, but at some times I think they are better than many sports persons because administration and running or playing or something or hockey, they're two entirely different things. But yes, one is happy that we have been saying that these bodies are full of politicians, full of people who have not played anything. And today we have a whole list of people, Gagan Narang, Yogeshwar Dutt, and all these top stars. So let's hope something happens. But let me tell you, I've known Usha for last maybe more than 4 decades. Ever since she came onto the scene in 1980, she is a 16-year-old girl. She went to Pakistan. But the only thing which she always lacked was to assert herself. That's in her nature. She was a very simple girl to say so. And but over the years, she has started talking and started talking boldly also. Let's hope that carries on. And but a Rajya Sabha seat and this office, they come in a very quick succession. So what gives one a feeling that she will be remotely controlled by the powers that be. I hope it doesn't happen. And well, all the best to Usha. But one has to be careful. One has to wait and see how the things shape in the coming days.
Some very important points you bring up, and interesting because, you know, a coin has two sides. Because let's bring in Shiva Keshavan, an athlete now also on the IOA Commission. And Mr. Keshavan, Shiva Keshavan, the Indian courts have been batting for former athletes to be in sports administrations, right? We've all been saying, we don't want full-time politicians. How do we remove this, eradicate corruption, all these vested interests? But on the other hand, we have Norris Pritam who's asking a question, can sportspersons be better sports administrators? You need acumen to run an administrative structure. Now, it's, you know, people can argue, many people have views that sort of Ganguly has not lived up to expectations. The former sports minister, Rajyavardhan Rathore, what's his legacy? What would you say as an athlete who is now also working on the commission?
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much for that question. And you know, I think let's just take a step back here and look at the bigger picture. All right, because I know emotions are high, and sports is a subject that gets us all riled up, and we've all jumped out right at the get-go, and, you know, starting to judge the new administration, and that's all fine. I mean, it's okay. But let's take a step back and look at what got us here and what are the sweeping changes in the structure of the IOA, the sports administration, that are coming. Okay. Yeah. For the first time in our history, we are governed by an athlete, a legendary athlete at that. The person who knows the ground reality. And it's not just athletes. There's a mix of athletes, administrators, officials. And not just that, there are other things. You know, the Supreme Court has come in. There's a 50% women in the new IOA. There's independent SOMs, you know, sports persons of outstanding merit that are part of the IOA, not representing federations that can assert their independence. So, you know, all these things have been a fruit of labor of so many people, starting, of course, from Ashwini Nachappa and, you know, movements like Clean Sport India, Rahul Mehra's, you know, famous PILs, so many athletes, myself, who's been advocating for athletes representation, journalists who've been talking about this. And this has been a negotiation between the International Olympic Committee trying to put governance policies, the Supreme Court taking cognizance of some of the issues in sport in India, athlete advocates who've been talking about this. And there's also the whole aspect of professionalism being brought in to a body which is the apex governing body of sport, which should not function in an amateur-ish way. And we need to build bridges with the government, we need to build bridges with the corporates, and we need to take athletes on board, because athletes are the primary stakeholders of the Olympic movement. And athletes need to be at the heart of the games. This argument of athletes are not good administrators, I think is total rubbish, because we have enough athletes in India. Granted, they may not all be good administrators, but the value systems that athletes represent, you can train these athletes, you can create pathways for athletes to come on board and learn to be administrators. There is no magic wand. Definitely, this is not a perfect solution, but let's work towards it. And as athletes who are on board right now, let's have each other's backs. Let's work towards this, and let's take everybody on board. And I understand there's an uphill task in front of us, and this is a double-edged sword. You know, we are putting our face on the line. So I'm sure Usha knows this. All the athletes on the commission know this. So let's put forward. Let's start. And
I think we must point out over here,
people such as you, journalists, should hold us accountable, should ask us the right questions, and that's how the system works.
I think we should also, inform our viewers. We must raise in full disclosure also the point that PT Usha has been running that sports academy. So in a sense, she is involved with administrative activities of her school for sure, and that will, I'm sure, that experience will be very beneficial as she takes this big leap to the head. But if I can also just ask you to touch upon the whole corruption aspect. This is an association that has been dragged through the worst. Whether it was this Commonwealth Games scam, its lows have seen like in the muck. You've seen the arrest of Suresh Kalmadi. You've seen the IOA committee suspending the IOA for corruption and government interference. Yes, PT Usha's achievements athletically are in a league of her own, but that whole aspect about her also being a politician now, a member of the Rajya Sabha nominated by the BJP. Shiva.
Well, I mean, absolutely valid question. A lot of muck has gone under the bridge that has brought us to this situation, that has disgraced sports administration in India. And it's not just in India, all over the world, there are questions being asked. So we have to clean up a system. So what is being done right now is trying to bring in transparency and accountability. First of all, the state Olympic associations are out because their role in sports has been dubious up till now. The responsibility now lies on the national sports federations, the people who are directly responsible for governing sport, and the athletes who are at the receiving end, from the athletes' representation point of view. Plus, this pathway has been created for athletes to become administrators. So the first thing is transparency. Yeah. Each national sport federation now is going to have to put their audited accounts online. It's going to be scrutinized by everybody. And this is a huge step forward. And, athletes are, one good thing about athletes, they might not be great talkers, to give politically correct answers. Yeah. But one thing that
you're proving your own statement wrong, Shiva Keshavan.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I mean, I guess time will tell. But, the point is that we are direct. The athletes are, the way we function is we have a goal and we go towards that goal. Okay, we are problem solvers. We don't make excuses. We try to find ways around the problems to find solutions. So we are hoping, and of course, I mean, after all, we're all human beings. We're all subject to various kinds of temptations, of all kinds of things, and we can get corrupted. However, the value system that athletes stand for is what we must work on. Yeah. And there should be a system of checks and balances. Okay. And once it's out in the open, we should be questioned. We should be there answering, and we should be working is the larger point.
Okay. I'm running out of time. I have 1 minute left. Norris, just last word to you. We're talking about the value system. As you pointed out, PT Usha has come from a small town in Kerala. She put us on the map before anybody else. Now, could we say one of her main targets would be to fix a framework that will help us scout talent from the grassroots? She's talked openly about the lack of proper screening of athletes.
Sarah, there I agree with you. Being an athlete, she would definitely know the problems that athletes face. She herself has faced a lot of problems. And I remember in 1998, before the teams was going to the Asian Games in Bangkok, I met her 2 days back, and my wife was also there, and she wanted to meet PT Usha. And we asked Usha, is there everything all right? And you know what she said? I don't have spikes to run. My race is after 3 days. So I managed to get it from Singapore, and she went. So these are the problems that she has faced. And Naval Mohatil, who won the 84 gold with her, after 10 years, she was celebrating the 10 years of all the athletes who were finalists at Los Angeles. And she met me and said, there was no sign of Usha. I wrote 7-8 letters to Federation. Nobody even answered. So I think PT Usha knows all these problems. Yes. So first-hand knowledge she has, I think that will help us.
Absolutely. We hear all these horrific horror stories about athletes waiting to get a minute with the IOA president or the sports minister or whatever. Hopefully that would, this would put a pause to that. And all of us, of course, me personally being a fangirl, we all wish PT Usha all the best. All right, Shiva Keshavan, 30 seconds to you.
A very quick point. I mean, we've gone through it. We know what it is. And now, since we are administrators, we have to remember And if any athletes complains from now on, that's on us. So I urge everybody who's on board, all the athletes, take your responsibility seriously. This is not about keeping some people happy. This is about a country we're talking about. So let's work in the best interests of our nation.
Remember your roots and take wings. We wish you all the best. Thank you so much, both of you. Crucial debate on left, right and centre tonight. I'm so glad we could steer clear of politics and put the focus on sports for once. Thank you.